month with cocaine just to try and get me by until my script was ready again. I was drinking every night as a way to calm me down and put me to bed. I was smoking weed whenever it was available. And I eventually graduated to try meth. And so it went on like this for a while. And so finally I decided, I can't do this no more. Like, there's no way I can fight this battle myself. I need help. So I spoke to my parents, and in summer of 2011, I ended up checking myself into a place in Boonville called Valley Hope. And so I stayed my 30 days, came out, and I remember when I left being so confident and so hopeful and certain that I was finally going to be the Chris Garfias that my parents wanted me to be, the Chris Garfias that I knew God wanted me to be, and the Chris I should have been had I never went down the path of addiction. I was certain of it. Well, the enemy had other plans for me, because about 3 months or so afterwards, the enemy comes in, whispering lies into my spirit and into my mind, and one day I get the notion and I think to myself, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not. I'm just an addict. It was the drugs that sparked the desire for me to drink, right? I needed to drink in order to put me to bed at night to prevent me from staying up days on end and having that episode again. Had I never used drugs in the first place, I'd have been your typical social drinker. That's it. It's really what I thought. So after that, we'll call it an epiphany, I proceeded to drink. And wasn't too much longer. Shortly after that, probably a few months, if that, I realized, I'm an alcoholic too. I'm addicted to it all. If it feels good, I gotta have it. Fast forward to summer of 2015. It took a while for me to get back, but I finally checked myself back into treatment. I guess I just enjoyed it so much I had to go back a second time. And I remember telling myself, because I drove myself to Valley Hope, and I remember telling myself, and you have like those pep talks with yourself when you look in the mirror. I was driving myself to Valley Hope and looking in the mirror saying, Chris, we're an alcoholic, dude. Look, we got to get together. This is the last time we're coming here. We're not coming back again. Not to mention, it's costing me $10,000 each time I go. So it's burning a pretty hole in my wallet. I can't afford to go back. We got to get it right this time, Chris. So I went in, did my 30 days, came out, once again, filled with all the confidence and hope in the world that I was going to get it right this time. I was going to do it. A few months later, I ended up getting married. And then about 6 months after that, here come the enemy again, whispering lies into my spirit, into my mind. And I get the notion one day and I think to myself, it's that tipsy feeling you get, that buzz feeling after you had a couple drinks, that's where the relapse is. So if I can have a beer or two before reaching that point, technically I'm sober, right? I didn't relapse. I didn't get no buzz or nothing. So if I can find a way to basically have my cake and eat it too is what I was trying to do. And so, and here's how smart I thought I was, right? I thought I was genius for this plan. I said to myself, I'm going to have a beer every so often. Maybe like when we go out to eat, like a special occasion. I'm going to order that one beer after my appetizer or halfway through dinner so that I can have food in my stomach to soak up the alcohol to further prevent me from reaching that point. So after that, we'll call it an epiphany as well. I proceeded as such. I don't know how, but I actually lasted about 8 months or so doing this. Having that one beer, maybe two every so often. Until this time, at this point, I'm a dietary manager at a nursing home in Columbia called The Neighborhoods. And my administrator pulls me in one day and chews me out for something one of my staff members did. And anybody that's been in management knows that if one of your subordinates does something, you as a manager are held responsible in the eyes of your superiors. So pulled me in, wrote me up, sent me home. I called my wife on the way, told her what happened. I said, you know what, I had a terrible day. I'm gonna stop and get a 6-pack. I don't care, I think I deserve it. Surprisingly, she didn't really oppose, but then again, why would she? Because at this point, I had done such a good job lying to myself that I had control over this thing called alcoholism, that even my family started to believe it too. I think they thought after these 14 months that maybe Chris isn't so bad. Maybe he's not like those alcoholics. Maybe he's has this thing controlled because he's been doing this for a while now, and we've seen how successful he's been at it. So maybe he can have a little bit more once in a while. Well, that 6-pack turned into 2 6-packs, a bottle of wine, and about half a dozen airplane shots later. A few days after that, I ended up drinking every day again. My wife and I ended up separating, and we stayed separated for about a year until we got back together. And as a side note, her and I on September 18th just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary, so praise God. But even though she took me back, doesn't mean I just went back to not drinking again. I would go probably a couple days, maybe a week sometimes without drinking, but for those couple days or so I went without drinking, man, I was thinking about it all the time. And I probably was not the happiest person to be around because I just was waiting for that next drink. I was basically trying to push it out long enough to appear like a social casual drinker. Fast forward to June 7, 2021, I ended up getting my second DUI. That's right, my second one. Lost my job, lost my CDL license, was looking at jail time. Now, I didn't drive for CDL at the time, but about a year and a half before, I was over the road. And I came home because my kids were young, wanted to help my wife out. But I figured I'd still keep my CDL active. You know, maybe my kids, when they grow up a little older, I'll go back over the road, or maybe I'll find a day cab job, something. And so I got all my endorsements too, so I was ready to go when that time came. I got my hazmat, my double triple trailer, my tanker, lost it all. Now, June 7, 2021 was indeed the last time that I've had a drink, but it took months after that for me to reach a point that could allow God to do his work on me. Because my heart was in a worse off place than it was back when I was drinking every day. Because I was so filled with bitterness and just anger and resentment and blaming everybody and everything that put me in this position but me. I thought it was really everybody else's fault but me. And first and foremost, I blame the cop because, you know, by DUI, the circumstances were not your typical DUI, right? It's not like you're driving, you're swerving, cop pulls you over, whoop, whoop, lights you up, so you've been drinking, yeah, and boom, you're arrested. The cop never physically witnessed me behind the wheel in the first place. I got arrested for probable cause of DUI. So I felt, it's your fault, dude, you could let me go, you didn't even see me. But he was just doing his job. I blame my poor wife, because how dare she come home at 4 o'clock and get mad at me just for drinking? And I was belligerent, to say the least, and I know I was because later that day, whenever I blew for the cop, I blew a .24. And when you blow a .24, drunk is now an understatement. So she got mad at me, and rightfully so, because also, too, our toddler son was in the house left unattended for God knows how long. And anybody with children knows if you have a 3-year-old running around, they like to get into things. And when they see something shiny they like to pick up, where's the first place they put it? In their mouth. While daddy was outside drinking. So again, thank God nothing happened because I couldn't tell you how long I left him by himself. I blame my boss. My boss from 4 years before, who had wrote me up. Because I thought to myself, you know, had he never done that, I would have never stopped to buy that 6-pack and then some. And that was a catalyst that caused a chain of events to lead me right here. That's how deep-seated my blame was. I was blaming someone 4 years ago. Because in my mind, I thought I would still be that once-a-week drinker, which was a complete lie. And so finally I decided, you know, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this no more. I can't live like this. There's no way I can wake up, be mad the whole day, go to bed, mad, wake up, do it again.